Gold Knot Titles podcast is brought to you by Land Trust Title Services, your partners for results. Well, hello again, everybody. This is Steve Kempf, and I'm with my cohort partner in crime, Matt Lombardi, and this is the April 2025 edition of Market Trends. Matt, I came in, I noticed we wore similar shirts, so this is the time for us to twin or match.
Similar, but not the same.
Okay,
so I think we're okay in our fashion outfits today.
Okay, one of us was going to go shirts and skins, but we didn't want to do that.
No.
Okay, Matt, breaking news here. Probably the biggest news in the real estate world is Rocket acquiring Redfin. Tell us about that.
So this is big. So everybody in the industry knows Rocket.
Yep, Rocket Mortgage.
Rocket Mortgage,
Used to be Quicken Loans.
Quicken Loans, billion-dollar originator.
Juggernaut.
And so Redfin is sort of the opposite with that. Redfin has been in the real estate space from the brokerage side to discount, different model, good.
Disruptor,
Some might say. Glenn Kelman, the CEO, has been a thorn in the side of established brokers and others, but they never really made a profit.
So they come in with this idea, they're going to come in and disrupt, they're going to be cheaper than everybody else, and they never make a single red penny of profit. Man.
No, if you look at their P&L, if you look at their balance sheets, they pretty much hemorrhage money year over year.
So losing money and making it up on volume doesn't work.
Correct. So big names in the industry came together. And so this acquisition is big news because it's bringing together two sides of the transaction, the financial mortgage side and the front end real estate side. So this is actually very interesting to see how it plays out. From a business perspective, when you look at it, it's a good deal for Redfin because now they have a lifeline where they're going to be able to continue. And now they have their corporate overlord with good balance sheets and lots of money to help. And so I don't know what the long-term game plan is for Quicken or Rocket now. But this gives them a front-end funnel, they being Rocket, to get in front of those consumers.
Well, Matt, and it reminds me, 2 years ago at T360, one of the leaders, that might have been Gary Keller, that said, of Keller Williams, said, if brokerages do not get mortgage and title revenue, they will not exist. And so Redfin, although we don't consider them traditional brokerage, they are real estate brokering. And here they are trying to get or Rocket's trying to get their lead generation. And so Redfin has been reduced to lead generation. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, that's part of their business model. They've done very good at it. They have good connectivity with potential clients, home buyers. So this is an interesting take on it. I think this still has to go through regulatory approval.
Okay.
But I don't see that being an issue. When this announcement happened, Rocket's stock price went down by about 10%, while Redfin's went up by about 10%.
That says something. Matt, let's talk. You have here the pros and the cons. Let's talk about the hypothetical pros, and let's get into the cons.
I mean, this is pretty high-level stuff. Obviously, from a front-end consumer perspective, it's a more integrated approach.
That's what they're touting.
So it makes sense that when you're meeting with a Redfin agent, they could say, oh, by the way, we're backed by Rocket. Let's do this all together. So that makes sense. From cost and revenue synergies, this will obviously trim the staff of Redfin because they will have now this corporate side of it with Rocket that is going to integrate, and they're going to look at how do we reduce headcount because we don't need
be left out of the musical chairs.
There
won't be a chair to sit in.
And I don't know stock. I actually looked what the analysts say on the stock, and I believe the consensus is neutral, which means sort of a wait and see attitude of what happens. And I think that's because of just the economy in general and the real estate industry in general. Where all brokerages front end are affected by what's happening, which we've talked about over the last year. The technological advancements, I think they are both disruptors in the industry. They being Rocket, and Rocket has always been at the front end of technology and making things faster, better, less expensive for the clients. Redfin, I think, has tried to do that with their discount model, as well as the front end stuff that they're trying to acquire those leads.
You know, Matt, and thinking of Redfin, you know, at Land Trust, one of our key values is delivering great value, but at a sustainable profit. And I think that's what Redfin struggled to do, so this might help them to justify their existence.
Absolutely.
What are the cons here, Matt?
So some of the cons are, I think we mentioned, antitrust. You know, obviously the regulators.
Fox in the henhouse.
Yeah, they'll look at this and see if there is regulatory issues, antitrust issues. I don't think that will be problematic, so that's just one concern. You know, there may be some integration challenges between the companies, obviously, when you bring two different philosophies together, but I'm sure that they looked at that and say, we're close enough, but there will be some integration things, technological, you know, systems that are being used by Redfin are going to be different than those being used by Rocket. How do those become integrated at all to save money? You know, impact on competition. You know, there was a rumor that Zillow was looking to acquire Redfin as well. And Zillow, for all of you who know, I mean, they are the behemoth, end-all, be-all of real estate. They were the original disruptor. And so they just keep growing and growing and growing and growing. And so they may look at this and say, hey, maybe we want to get in the game and buy someone else. Stock market reactions, we talked about that. You know, one went up, one went down. So that's a wait and see attitude. And then consumer costs. You know, the end result, hopefully consumers, is less cost, but it may be more because the companies are looking at this as a profit center, and, you know, Rocket's going to say, how do we maximize our profit? And as you said, sustainable growth.
Matt, my opinion of this, would you like it?
I think everybody wants your opinion,
You're clamoring
Steve.
for it.
Yes.
Okay, so I believe Redfin took the relationship out of real estate, okay, and they've proven they can't make money doing it. Maybe they can do some volume. But what has also been proven over this time with the NAR settlement is that agents, their value proposition, both on the buy side and the list side, they have made a higher commission at the start of this NAR settlement and all the kerfluffle. And I believe it's because most consumers want to see somebody, feel somebody, work with somebody who is a professional in the marketplace. And I think Redfin, many professional agents are there, but generally speaking, it is a call center type of mentality. It is not that high touch. Maybe they'll correct that over the time. And so this depersonalizes the real estate transaction, and we'll see if it works. Even loan officers, you want to meet with your consultant. You don't want to just have a 1-800 number. That's the value that regular brokerage offers and regular mortgage brokerage offers. So
and
anyway,
what I'll
we'll
say,
see.
and what I'll say is they may be looking for the future where our generation likes that high touch, likes the customer experience aspect of it, where I think the younger generation, this may make inroads with them because they're used to doing things on the fly. Make this quicker. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Okay.
I don't want to sit down and learn how you're going to help me buy or sell my home.
Yeah.
You know, whereas this is, you know,
point and click. And I believe, okay, so point counterpoint, I believe that the real estate transaction is too big of a transaction to depersonalize and point and click. And so I believe that even through all the noise of how young consumers behave, maybe they are buying cars online and pointing and clicking, having the car delivered, but there's still a bunch of car dealerships, right? People want to go in, they want to feel, they want to touch, they want to smell, they want to work with real humans that are really involved in their community. And so I think that although it's going to be impactful, I believe that there's still going to be great value in that. So let's move on. NAR news, Matt. NAR is a gift that keeps on giving to market trends.
So I had a conversation recently with someone who had a conversation with Nakia Wright, the CEO, and I said, how did it go? And the response was, it's a mess over there. They're firing people left and right still. You know, maybe we're not hearing the headlines, but I know that
there's still a lot of
stuff happening. I know their CFO is retiring. They're bringing in a new CFO. I forget the gentleman's name, but there is staff changes. There is things happening. We're going to get to perception in the marketplace by some real data. But yeah, so the first thing of the NAR news that, as you affectionately say is the gift that keeps giving.
Yes.
Is their clear cooperation policy. So recently, probably just a handful of days ago, NAR came out with a new update and policy change for clear cooperation. Clear cooperation, and we've mentioned this before in the podcast, is when someone, a realtor, gets a listing, they have 1 day to put it in the MLS, which means they are clearly cooperating with other agents for the benefits of home buyers and sellers to
Right.
put that information out there. Compass was one that we've talked about as well that sort of wants to keep those listings and
Yep.
doesn't want to participate in what is known as the clear cooperation policy, where they want, depending on the home seller, they will say, hey, we don't want to put this on the MLS. You can say you don't want to put this on the MLS. And we're going to market this through our own proprietary channels. And we're going to get you better, higher qualified offers, which will put more money in your pocket. Where the counter argument to that is put it in the MLS. Let everybody see it.
Yeah.
Let everybody fight over this listing, and you will get. So, two sides of the story. The bottom line is NAR retains its clear cooperation policy, but it institutes some more flexibility for sellers. And it's called multiple listing options for sellers, which means there is a delayed marketing exempt category, which sort of feeds into what we were just saying, which is you don't have to put it in there within 24 hours, but ultimately you do have to put it in there.
Okay. So
And
it's coming our way. So they still want to keep their MLS relevant because that is their stronghold per se. Of course, it's couched in consumer advocacy and all these things, but they want to keep their Gestapo hold over the agents.
One could say that.
Okay,
It's
I
all
just
about
did.
control.
Yes.
You know,
And value, because you take away the MLS from the NAR, would anyone? I mean, that's a question.
We're going to talk
Oh,
about
let's
that.
talk about it.
We're going to get to that, but
We'll
yes,
get to
that's.
it.
But so this is an interesting new policy, and the industry reaction is pretty much positive about it.
Okay.
You know, there's some people who are saying it's not going far enough, and you're placating the compasses out there, but. You know, there's never a win-win, and I know NAR policy is not the most fun things. Home buyers and sellers, I guarantee you know nothing about NAR's policy and MLS policy. You probably don't want to know that. But from the agent perspective and industry perspective, it is a big deal, and they're always trying to adjust this.
Okay.
So just an interesting little thing from NAR. You know, I know there's other news for NAR, but this was
That's the big stuff.
This was the big one. Right
And
now.
Matt, I think it's a signal that NAR is they're trying to hold on still. They're trying to be flexible, and it's because people are starting to sour. They're starting to look under the hood. They're starting to question. So.
Yep.
And then that leads us to some of these surveys here, right?
Right. So this one is from in the middle of March. Cranes came out with a big article, and it was based on a Resi Club survey. And the survey findings found that NAR is highly disliked not only by real estate professionals, but also the public.
Wow.
So it's a
they've got some
lose.
bad publicity.
So it's a lose-lose on
Yep.
both sides. And out of all the entities that they surveyed from different associations, different companies,
Yes.
NAR was the second lowest. And that's after Blackstone, which is a private equity group that is buying up everything. So anyway, disapproval ratings, 68% of the general public gave a thumbs down, 66% of real estate and housing executives gave a thumbs down, and 62% of real estate and agents and brokers gave a disapproval rating.
Wow.
Not good.
Not good.
And I've seen these surveys from the general public. And so I've seen it tick up over the years,
Yes.
where especially the general public, when you say real estate professional or realtor, they were slightly above a used car salesperson.
Yes. That's
But
unfortunate. And politicians are still on the bottom. Is that how it works?
No, politicians, they're way on top. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, and Matt, just anecdotally, just speaking to some of the associations, they used to be kind of lockstep with the NAR,
Right.
and now you see them subtly making plans to justify their existence separate from the NAR. They just used to be in the updraft of the NAR value proposition, and now they're which I think is again a healthy thing, that every single piece of this association pie takes a look at themselves and says, hey, are we valuable? Stand alone from all the other, are we valuable? And I think it's a good question to ask yourself.
100% correct, and that's a great information point. That yes, I think local realtor associations and real estate boards historically have been in lockstep with the mothership.
Yep.
And they've sort of said, there's so much stuff going on at NAR that has literally nothing to do with us.
Yes.
And as all real estate is local, I think all real estate associations are local as well.
Absolutely.
And this is going back 20-something years,
Right.
where it used to be, and you're probably well aware of this, Steve, and many of you watching this may be well aware, is there was no board of choice, which means if you lived in the city of Chicago, you were forced to join the Chicago Association of Realtors.
Yes.
And then at some point in time, a rule change said you can join any board or association you want, even out of state, if you wanted to. And it created this competitive nature amongst those local boards and associations to define the member value in their areas.
I love it. And so NASBAR, Heartland, Main Street, all these are all looking at themselves saying, how do we...
We're getting dark here.
Yeah, hold on. We'll break it. We got to move more, Matt.
That's
there we
funny.
go.
Energy efficiency
Yeah,
at its best.
right. Yeah, from the darkness to the light. So Matt, and let's and they want to disassociate themselves with these low ratings. They want to say, hey, this is not, it's like you want to look at your future, take a look at the 5 people around you. It's like this person's really close, and I don't like my future if I'm too closely connected. So let's talk about these reasons for the reputational decline, Matt.
We've talked about it. Obviously, the sexual harassment kerfuffle lawsuits that took place, was about 1.5 years ago now, 2 years ago. That's still always bubbling up.
Yeah.
That, impropriety, the leadership was in disarray.
Yeah.
One president
Money's
resigning, the
flying
second
around.
president resigning.
Yeah.
New CEO, new staff changes, cleaning house. So
then the commission.
A lot of cleanup, the commission lawsuit.
Yep.
The confusion over commissions. So and some of the things, NAR is out of touch and failed to anticipate all the things that they saw, like who is ruling is the fox ruling the hen house? People on the inside should have known things are going to come out. We need to take care of this internally first before it goes out.
Yes.
And they did not do that. And it just became, they say any PR is good PR. This PR was not good PR. And so all those things create this situation where agents and the public, they're not seeing this positive side of it, and so that is why they get these negative things.
And so, Matt, they have made efforts to rebuild trust, you talk about here. So let's talk about those efforts because, hey, I believe that a strong NAR will be of value to the agent community. So how do they get back to there?
Leadership changes.
Yep.
So they have now...
It's all about leadership.
I say this every time. It starts at the top.
Yes.
And when you have a strong leader, she or he has to be a strong leader for those around them. The next level of leadership needs to be strong leaders. And then because it's such a centralized yet decentralized organization, which is you have NAR, but then you have the state associations, local boards and associations, they all have to be strong leaders.
Yes.
And so that's where the divergence, I think, is coming in, where those local leaders, let's use the Chicago metro area, the Jeff Laskys of the world, where they're saying, yeah, we're a part of NAR, but we're going to do and focus on our membership the best we know how.
Yeah, Matt, and I think this is an opportunity for everyone in the agent community not to be a victim here. There are ways for everyone to get involved in the NAR, right?
Correct.
I mean, they're constantly looking for volunteer leadership. They're constantly looking for people to serve. So there's a way for us to get involved and to say, hey, I want to be part of the solution, not just bitch about the problems.
Right, and so you realtors out there that want to get involved, I'm sure your local association would love to hear from you.
Yes.
And I think most people don't get involved.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at the large number of real estate professionals that belong to these local boards and associations, if you don't like something, tell them.
Yeah.
Get involved.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the most important thing. So some other things that they're doing to rebuild trust is new conduct standards. I know NAR on the inside has instituted new policies.
No massages at the coffee station.
Or you have to sign the waiver before you do that.
Right. Okay.
You know, they're trying to manage their reputation, obviously.
Is there really a waiver for that, Matt?
As far as I know, no. And then their policy advocacy, touting what their positive things are.
Yes.
And we've said this numerous times.
We covered it on our last month.
You know, their political advocacy, number one expenditures last year.
Education.
You know, the research.
Yeah.
I mean, the top two benefits that NAR provides, I think, just in general, not only to the industry but to the public, is their advocacy as well as the
100%.
research.
Yep.
You know, and I'll argue that forever.
They're
that
still a
those-
strong lobby, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They are a powerful lobby, and if they're aligned with the agents, they become all the more powerful because now you have hundreds of thousands of agents that are talking with one voice. Hey, thanks for listening to the People Not Titles podcast. We are brought to you by our great sponsors, Land Trust Title Services, your partners for results. One voice advocating for the industry.
So this is, so you haven't even seen this. So this is an association survey for agents and brokers that was in Chicago Agent Magazine, where it's asking similarly to this Resi survey. It says, you know, so 100% of the respondents were members of a local realtor association. Do you think the three-way agreement where people need to join the state, local, and national to get access to the MLS is in the members' best interest? 67% said no.
Ooh.
And that's like the cornerstone. So you're asking, what is the value of me being a realtor, which is I get access to the MLS,
and I don't
but
care
I have
about
to
that.
do it. So yes. Other than the MLS and real estate forms, what member benefits do you use? And who is it from? 89% from the local association, only 48% from NAR, and 47% from the state association.
So less than half of the agents actually see value in anything beyond the MLS.
You are correct.
Wow.
Why did you join the Realtor Association last year? 81%, I needed access to the MLS. 52%, it was required by my broker.
Wow.
36%, I couldn't use the term realtor if I didn't join. 35%, to show I'm a professional. And then 28%, I find the member benefits useful for my business. 28% saying, yes, I like the member benefits. 81% saying, I only join because I have to get the MLS. And so from an NAR perspective, big red flag of what is your value proposition to the realtor community.
Yeah, and I think they can build off of that 28%, Matt, that there is a pocket of people that are seeing this value. I'd love to see their production. I'd love to see, maybe we'll do that next time, is who are those 28%. If they're the higher producers, then you got a bunch of folks that are on the outer fringe that don't understand the value, aren't capitalizing, maximizing it. So we'll see about that. And
the last data point I'll point in this survey was, if you could join the MLS without joining the association, would you? 76% said yes.
It's not a good sign.
And as we've seen and discussed in previous episodes, MLSs are sort of trying to take that approach where they may be trying to find new membership categories for non-realtors to access their MLS. And the last one we talked about last month was the Phoenix Association of Realtors, where they said, we're going to have this new membership category. NAR came in, and ultimately there was some agreement that was done.
You know, Matt, one of the problems when you run into a situation where you feel like your business is slipping away is not to listen to your constituents and just keep going. And I believe they did that for a little too long.
Yeah.
And now they're in this position where they're going to have to let some things go. And I think we're seeing that as well, that they're releasing some of this stranglehold on the MLS. And my prediction is you're going to continue to see the releasing of the power of the NAR to local. And I think it's going to be a good thing.
So A lot more to come, and
Lot
as
more to
Steve
come.
likes to say, it's the gift that keeps on giving,
Yeah.
and we will still keep talking and reporting about it each and every month as new stuff
because it's
comes
important
in.
to you.
It's important, yeah, it's definitely
The
important
best,
to you.
the match shifting now off of the NAR into just a general info, the best time to sell. Talk about that.
So we talked about this in the fall. Realtor.com comes out with 2 studies. It's a big publicity thing, but they do have some data points in it. So the best time to sell, according to Realtor.com, for you realtors out there, if you want to talk to your clients who are on the fence about listing, the best time to sell is the week of April 13th through the 19th.
Wow.
So
We're
that's-
coming up on it.
We're coming up on it. So tell your clients who are on the fence, you're doing listing presentations. You could print out the report from Realtor.com and say, you got to list with me, and it's time to sell right now.
Okay.
And here's why. So according to Realtor.com's analysis, that week is projected to have the optimal conditions for home sellers, which would include higher sales prices. They predict almost $5,000 more listed in that week than
It's
other
like a
weeks.
feeding frenzy. You drop the bread into the water, the fish all.
Yeah.
That's how it goes, right?
Exactly. They predict a faster sales during that time period, 9 days quicker. Reduced competition. Sellers may face 13.2% fewer competitive listings.
So you're getting ahead of the swell of listings that'll start setting into the later April.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so they base these predictions on historical data between 2018 and 2024. And they analyze the listing price, market pace, and buyer demand. So they've identified that. Obviously, this is a nationwide stat.
Yep.
There are pockets where it may vary time period.
Weather.
I mean, we are in the spring time period.
Yep.
I mean, this, you professionals out
Spring
there
has
know
sprung.
this. Spring is here. Listings like tulips and crocuses are popping up every other day.
Love it.
So the bottom line is it's time to list your house and get out there and hustle and tell those people on the fence it's time to list their house.
Yeah, and if you're going to buy, this is the opportunity to get your stuff in order, get your pre-quals, get everything set so you can, boom, act and strike while the iron's hot. Interest rates, Matt.
Excuse me. So interest rates, mortgage rates. So the Fed met again last month. And everybody, in essence, the Fed has looked at the economy. They try and look at inflation. They want inflation down to 2%. Inflation has grown. So they did not do a rate cut this time around. The perspective was that they may be doing 2 future rate cuts. Now the consensus is maybe 1 for the rest of the year. We talk about this each episode. Obviously, it's fluid, but the economy and inflation is not good right now.
Yeah.
The tariffs that we've talked about the last few episodes have put market jitters where you look at the stock market one day, it's up 5%. You look at stock market the next day, it's down 3%.
Yeah.
And so and the market and financial markets want stability.
Yes.
And we unfortunately do not have that right now.
Yeah,
And-
Matt, and with this radical change, and we don't want to argue about tariffs, good or bad, just yet, because I believe it'll come out in the wash. But the money, as the tariffs go into place, which April 2nd, right, you're going to see the money shift, right? The money's still going to be out there. It's just going to shift. So if you have these stocks that are enjoying the market conditions today, however they're positioned, you're going to have a whole new set of companies that potentially, or if some of these companies shift and pivot however they need to, you're going to see these companies rising up. So I believe you might see some of this, new players in the market. It's going to open up the doors for that. But I go back to what I said maybe a couple episodes ago. I think consumer confidence is going to be the key for even trumping interest rates. If you feel good about your opportunity, if you feel good about your future, if you feel good about your family's economic condition, you are going to buy. And right now, I think it's still in a wait and see mode.
I
And that's
agree.
part of the stagnation.
And I agree 100%. And, people who are invested in 401ks,
Yes.
they look month over month and they say, hey, man, this has dropped 10%.
Yes.
And the closer you are to retirement, the scarier that becomes, and
Yep.
you lose
Yep.
some of that confidence.
Yes.
And so job creation, job stability are the two biggest drivers. I know Lawrence Yun, chief economist for NAR, has always said that. What drives the real estate market is jobs.
Okay.
And consistency of jobs and the confidence that people get when they have a job
Yeah, and
for
they're
a
going
longer
to keep their job. Yeah.
and they're going to keep their job, and I just see it that is still not the case.
Yep.
You know, it's tough out there. You
Yeah.
people watching, it's, you know, gas prices have ticked up.
Yep.
You know, prices continue to go up on certain things. I see, you know, and you want stability. You want level playing field. So yes, I am with you, Steve. I'm not convinced that one way or another is the best, but I'm of the mindset, let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, you have prognosticators out there saying the sky is falling. You have others that saying
This is a
the
boom
great
town. This is our opportunity.
This is going to be great.
Yeah.
I think you need to put those both to the side and
Right.
say what is really going to happen.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the consumer votes with their pocketbook. And so
So where does that put us with interest rates, Matt?
interest rates remain unchanged, and mortgage rates are pretty much so. The good thing about mortgage rates, which 30 years about 6.6, 6.7%, 15 years 5.8, 6%, 6%. So it's been stable.
Yes.
You know, over the last few months. You know,
Yes.
when we report on this. And so from a consumer standpoint, I hope that people out there are saying this is how it's going to be. You know, the low interest rates that we keep hoping for aren't going to happen, but there aren't going to be super high interest rates.
Yes.
So 6.5%.
This is a new normal,
Is the
Matt?
new norm, and so people who are on the fence in the locked-in mortgages and they want to move, they're going to realize that this is it. You know, that it's interesting because I know there is a segment of the population who thinks, and I forget what survey I saw.
Yeah.
I think it was one that Bob sent us recently.
Okay.
And it was consumers are thinking like there's still a large percentage of people out there who think that, yeah, we're going to get 3 to 4% interest rates in the future. Not going to happen.
Okay. It's
So-
not going to happen.
So the Fed is holding tight, and they're going to monitor what's happening with, you know, the economy and adjust accordingly.
Okay, Matt. Existing homes.
I think we're
Let's
getting
move.
Tim.
Let's move.
That's great.
Okay. Movement.
Efficiency.
Is
So
health.
I'll go over quickly the existing home sales. So from a national scale, month over month, just over 4% increase, which is
So a
good
little
thing.
better than last year.
Month over month.
Month over month.
And then year over year, it's down just over a percentage.
Okay.
And so last year, as we all know, was very down. So we don't want to see year over year is down, but month over month is up nationally.
So we're climbing, we could say.
Correct. NAR estimates $4.26 million, 4.26 million existing home transactions for the rest of the year. They adjust that as it moves forward.
Okay.
Over 4 million. Once again, for the amount of people looking for properties, it should be 5 million. But
Okay.
month inventory has gone up, so more listings out there. So that's at 3.5 months. They always say 6 months is the good time period for inventory. And then median home sales prices is $398,400 last month, and that is almost 4% higher year over year.
So home prices are still going up.
Home prices are
In
still-
Chicago Metro.
This is nationally.
Oh, this is nationally.
So
Let's go to
Chicago,
Chicago Metro.
So in February for the Chicago metro area, closed sales almost identical year over year, 5,100. Closed sales over the previous year over year, 10% higher.
Okay.
So that's good.
Yeah, that's an uptick.
Looking year over year.
And Chicago was a little bit behind the rest of the market in terms of inventory, in terms of all these things. So it might even be said that it's catching up with where the market has been.
Correct. For whatever reason, we pointed out in a previous episode how Chicago and the state of Illinois is sort of this outlier for
Yeah.
every other state of lagging behind.
Yeah.
And so I forget what we said, the volcano is coming, the eruption
Yes.
is coming, something
Yes.
is coming, so we're still waiting for
Yeah,
that.
this is a smoke coming out, just a little bit of mist and vapor.
Exactly. So median sales price year over year is up 7.5%. So in February, the median sales price for the Chicago metro area was $344,000. Inventory of homes for sales almost flat, just under 2%, and days on market almost identical, 36 to 35 days. So looking year over year and month over month, it's pretty flat.
Pretty flat.
Pretty flat. So I'm hoping for the spring market that things heat up a little bit.
Beautiful.
Not only for you professionals out there, for your careers, but also for home buyers and home sellers who are looking, because we're still in the same boat. When a property goes up for sale and it's priced right, you're going to get multiple offers.
And maybe even go above listing.
You know, I look in my own neighborhood, there's a couple houses that are definitely overpriced. They're the ones that are sitting.
Yeah.
Every other one that is priced appropriately
It's gone.
is within probably 2 weeks.
Let's talk about Wisconsin, Matt.
Wisconsin still is continuing to do well. They are the bright spot in the Midwest. So monthly home sales is up 7% year over year. Statewide listings are just up 0.4% year over year. And the median home sales price year over year is almost 11% higher.
Wow.
So Wisconsin, you guys are rocking it. It's a bright spot that I like to see. I wish the Chicago and Illinois area was in the same boat, but not everybody's flocking to go into Chicago. Many people are flocking to move into different properties in the state of Wisconsin, many times from the state of Illinois.
What's happening at Land Trust, Matt?
We got so much stuff going on at Land
talk
Trust,
about it.
I wouldn't even know where to start. For you attorneys out there, we have 2 upcoming CLE in-person, and I want to say that, in-person CLEs, which we value. We are always on the fence. Do we do this remotely? Do we do this online? And we've come to the decision in person, because the feedback we get from the attorneys that come to these in-person sessions are invaluable, and they love it. They love hearing the firsthand information, also hearing from the Land Trust team of what's happening, and then mixing and mingling and networking with it. It's a collaboration thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have 2 upcoming ones, May 8th in Oak Brook and May 15th in Northbrook.
What are our topics?
Topics are ethics in a real estate transaction, which I think is very important.
Absolutely.
And we're getting great traction and registrations from that. And then the second part of it is proper document execution, including RIN and RON, so remote online notarization. And I forget what RIN stands for, inked notarization.
Okay. So same things as how you, as an agent, if you're an agent out there, can leverage these new technologies to make it more convenient for your customers, buyers and sellers, to be able to sign documents, execute, but in a safe way where we identify who's who and what's what, so we don't have fraudsters weaseling their way in.
Yep. And for many of you out there, Land Trust has taken the lead on fraud and security.
Absolutely.
We've been out in many offices presenting to agents,
and
as well as
we've taken the lead on stopping fraud and security as opposed to
correct
taking the lead and being fraudsters.
So we like to say, from listing to close, we are protecting and securing the transaction through numerous
and you can
steps.
find out, you can find out how you can get $2.5 million of insurance coverage on the funds for a transaction. We'll be talking about that. Go to the website.
Yep. So that's for attorneys. For realtors out there, we conducted 2 Zoom presentations. One was on fraud and security.
Yep.
And then the second was on the new 8.0 real estate contract.
Highly acclaimed, both of them.
Very, not only well attended, but the feedback we received was 5 stars across the board.
Well moderated, Matt.
Wonderful moderation by my colleague to your right or left, depending on how you see this. But yes, so really good sessions. But to make a long story short, both those Zoom sessions are now available. The recordings, they're on the podcast website. They're on Land Trust's YouTube channel. They're on peoplenotitles.com. So anywhere you want to find it.
Everywhere we are.
And we had a great attorney panel.
Yes.
With
fantastic.
Mark
Herrick. Many
Herrick,
others.
And Nick Jaworski.
Yes.
For the fraud and security. And then we had Peter Fitzgerald, Will Lorman, and Michael Bratt.
Yeah.
For the 8.0 contract. So realtors, check it out. Great stuff.
Yep.
And then our latest podcast is
Ernie Rose.
It was Ernie Rose.
Managing partner of DKMO Law. Talk about his story and all the insights he has, which is a beautiful podcast.
Wonderful.
Matt, okay,
what are your parting thoughts here,
my
Steve?
parting thoughts is this. Let's talk March Madness. So, are your So first off, I want to brag that in my family bracket,
Okay.
I'm on top of the heap. Okay, I'm number one, and I'm insufferable to deal with right now.
So
We have
one
our
of
own-
5.
Yeah, one
Or
of
is there more?
There
I-
might be 6 or 7.
Okay.
Once you're in the lead, you don't pay attention to the people behind you. So
Understood.
there's 6 or 7, and I'm in the lead by 1. But when you're in the lead going into the Sweet 16, you have a whole week to talk.
And I'm
crap
sure your
to-
family appreciates
Oh,
your
they
insights.
love every text they get from me with
Very-
the number 1 foam finger and all that.
Are you in any other brackets or pools?
Yeah, Matt, we don't want to talk about that. But, but Matt, let's talk about the Final 4.
Ooh.
Okay. So who do you have
Oh,
to
it's-
come out on top for the championship?
I have Duke
Okay.
coming out on top for one of them, and I can't remember. I'm in 2.
Okay, so are you picking Duke right now for our dollar bet?
Sure, I'll take Duke. for
Okay,
the,
and
who
I
you
got
take?
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right, so
And
we have
so-
another dollar bet. I'm already a dollar richer from Matt from was
Yes.
it the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl. I signed
Okay.
it and everything.
Yeah.
So Steve has it now framed in his office.
Yes.
What was I going to say? So I'm in 2 pools, and last year I believe I finished at the bottom
Okay.
of both. This
Congratulations.
year I am in the, how did I say it to a colleague yesterday, top 20th percentile of both.
Okay.
So I'm not out,
Okay.
and I'm still in the mix,
Okay. Are all my 4 teams that I picked are still going to the Final 4?
as are mine.
Okay,
As are mine.
fantastic.
So we're good. So that's a good thing.
Okay, so that's it. We've talked about everything important. People, not titles. Signing off. Thank you, Matt, for all your insights and blessings. Have a great April and take advantage of the greatest week ever to sell real estate.
Thanks, everybody.
Blessings. Hey, thanks for listening to the People Not Titles podcast. We are proudly sponsored by Land Trust Title Services. If you enjoyed the podcast, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. And we'd love it if you'd share our podcast with your friends. Thanks a lot.